lovely people, I hope you all are doing well. Today I am going to film a video about my favorite movies / movies that I think are fantastic that you should watch during quarantine. This video will be hopefully much shorter than my favorite book video / good books to read in quarantine that I posted last week. That one was 45 minutes. I filmed it for an hour and 40 minutes. I just filmed a very mini try-on haul from Abercrombie, so I'll probably upload that after this video. That's all I have to say. I hope you enjoy, and please keep on watching if you want to see my favorite movies. I'm gonna do the best description that I can. I'm obviously not gonna give away the movies, but I'm gonna give a little description and who's in it, and then I have my laptop here and I'm gonna read a little bit of the description that it has on Google. Like I did with my books, I'm also gonna go in order of when I first saw the movie. I don't have any specific genre organization. My first movie is going to be GATTACA. That was made in 1987. It's rated PG-13 if anyone is wondering. It says sci-fi / drama as the genre that it's in. It was made by Andrew Nichols. He wrote it and directed it, and it was produced by Danny DeVito. It stars Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, Jude Law, Gore Vidal, Alan Arkin, what's his name from The Band's Visit, Tony Shalhoub. I'll tell you a little bit about it. So it takes place in the not too distant future. This movie is about DNA, and that's why it's called Gattaca. The bases of DNA are ATCG, and so those letters are used to spell the title of the movie. And what is also interesting is the credits for people's names in the beginning. If their name has one of those 4 letters in it, then that letter is highlighted in their name, and I just think that's fun. Oh, also the music in this movie is gorgeous. The music is by Michael Nyman. The premise of this movie is that now people are being genetically modified, I guess you could say. Parents are able to pick their child's genes before they are born. Everyone is quote unquote perfect. Vincent, who is played by Ethan Hawke, who I've met twice actually, he was super nice. I can tell those stories. They're not long stories, but I'm not going to tell them in this video. If you want to hear a video about that, it'd probably be 10 minutes maybe, but if you want to hear it, then I can make a video on it. But he was very nice. So Ethan Hawke, his name is Vincent, and he was born before the thing of picking the genes. He's called an invalid, and everyone else who was born perfectly are valid. He wants to work at Gattaca. He loves space, and it's been his dream to work there, but since he is genetically inferior, he probably wouldn't get hired because of his genetics. There are so many good quotes in this movie, by the way. I've watched it so many times. The first time I watched it was maybe 8th grade, but I definitely watched it in 10th grade in bio class. Tony Shalhoub's character introduces Ethan to Jude Law, who his character is Jerome Morrow, who is a valid. He's genetically perfect, and he had I'm not going to tell you all of it, but he was in an accident and he's now paralyzed. He doesn't want to work at Gattaca, and he can't. Vincent is going to use Jerome Morrow's blood, his fingertips, urine, hair, to pose as him in Gattaca so that he'll be able to work there, and they're going to go to Mars, and so he'll be able to go to Mars, and that's the best I can do with my description. Now I'm going to read a little bit of description. It says, Vincent Freeman, Ethan Hawke, has always fantasized about traveling into outer space, but is grounded by his status as a genetically inferior, I'm reading it from my computer, by the way, genetically inferior invalid. He decides to fight his fate by purchasing the genes of Jerome Morrow, Jude Law, a laboratory engineered valid. He assumes Jerome's DNA identity and joins the Gattaca space program, where he falls in love with Irene, Uma Thurman. An investigation into the death of a Gattaca officer, who is played by Gore Vidal, complicates Vincent's plan. There's so many fantastic quotes in this movie. I've seen it so many times. Hi, baby. Hi, say hi. Hi. Oh, look at you, cutie. You can sit on my lap, babies. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah. There's so many fantastic quotes in this movie. I've seen it so many times, and I basically know all of the lines because they're all so good. And I really recommend you watching this movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's amazing and I love it, and I think you should watch it. Jude Law is a fantastic actor and he is gorgeous, so that's a plus to watching it. I just watched The Talented Mr. Ripley last weekend, I think. It was so good and very suspenseful, and he is gorgeous in that movie. Also, Alfie, if you haven't seen that movie, He's also gorgeous in that one. He's just gorgeous all the time. Those are the only movies I've seen with him. GATTACA, The Talented Mr. Ripley, and Alfie. But yes. My next movie is going to be A Walk to Remember. This movie was made in 2002. It's rated PG if anyone cares. And it is classified as a romance/drama. So it follows Jamie, who's played by Mandy Moore, who plays Rapunzel, and she's in Tangled, and she's also in This Is Us, and Shane West, who plays Landon. Landon is a popular boy. He doesn't really care about school. He's misbehaved. He's cool. Him and his friends think they're the best, and he doesn't really have the best attitude. And then Jamie her father is a preacher. She's very reserved and not shy because she's sure of herself and she's very confident in who she is. But sorry if the lighting is changing, by the way. I ordered a ring light like 3 weeks ago and it still hasn't come. And I checked the status today and it says it's on back order, so I don't know what that means. I emailed the company to see what that means. I think it means maybe they like don't have the item yet or something. I don't know. But I ordered it, so I emailed them to see what that means, and they haven't gotten back to me, but I only emailed them this morning, so I guess it's fine. Jamie is very sure of herself, but she's uncool for everyone in her high school. She wears super long dresses with sweaters all the time. Landon gets in trouble a lot, and because of an incident that happens in the beginning of the movie, he has to do like an extracurricular activity and tutor kids, and the extracurricular activity is the musical that he's going to be in. Jamie is also in the musical, and they work together, and their relationship develops from there. It's a great movie, also with quotes. There's a scene in it where Landon and his friend, they get into a fight in the lunchroom, and the friend is like, "Withdrew, Landon, withdrew forever." And I just love to quote that. I think it's so funny, so I say it all the time. I'm going to read. Set in North Carolina, A Walk to Remember follows the rite of passage of a jaded, aimless high school senior, Shane West, who's Landon, who falls in love with a gillless, I don't know that word, I'm sorry, young woman, who is played by Mandy Moore. He and his friends once scorned. The two develop a powerful and inspirational relationship in which they discover truths that take most people a lifetime to learn. And the Rotten Tomatoes score, this movie is 27? What? That is not okay. This movie is better than 27%. I don't know who's rating this movie, but I would not give it 27. 94% of Google users liked this movie, so Rotten Tomatoes, you're wrong. And also, Shane West is gorgeous as well. So my next movie is going to be Call Me By Your Name. I'm sure everyone knows this movie. Everyone loves Timothée Chalamet, obviously with a right to love him. It's a fantastic movie. It was a book by Andre Aciman, I think is how you pronounce the name. I did read the book. The book goes a lot more in depth than the movie, and it ends differently. It spans a lot more time than the movie does, and the movie ends not in the same way as the book where it leaves off, and I think they're making a sequel. They've talked about making a sequel for it, so I'm very curious to see how the sequel works. I'm assuming they would make the sequel based on the rest of the book, since it does span a lot more time. It's a beautiful movie. It was filmed in Italy over the summer, and it makes me want to live in Italy forever because it is gorgeous. The villa house that they filmed in is beautiful, and everything about it is beautiful. Timothée Chalamet is beautiful. Armie Hammer doesn't get enough love compared to Timothée Chalamet. He's also fantastic. Timothée Chalamet plays Elio, and Armie Hammer plays Oliver. Elio and his two parents live in Italy for the summer, and I think they also go there during winter break. Oliver is studying to become a doctor. Elio's parents have students come and study with them over the summer. So that is what Oliver is coming to do. He's American, and they make fun of him a lot in the movie because he's very American, and they call him a movie star, and Americans just think they're so cool and so popular. It's very funny. I'm sure that's how Europe looks at America, but I've never been to Europe, so I don't know, but I just think it's funny. There's controversy about this movie because Elio is younger than Oliver, and they have a sexual romantic relationship, but I think Elio is 17, I believe, and Oliver is 24, but I looked it up, and the age of consent in Italy, which is where they were, is 14. So in America, it's 18, but in Italy, it's 14. So there is nothing in the movie that makes it feel like pedophilia in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion at least, and That's all I'm going to say about that topic. It's a story of their relationship and Elio kind of discovering his sexuality. The music also I love. I listen to the soundtrack all the time. My favorite song on the soundtrack is Lady, Lady, Lady. It's by Giorgio Moroder and Joe Esposito. My mom said this song is from the movie called Flashdance, but I've never seen that movie, so I don't know, but my mom said it's from there. So apparently it's not from Call Me By Your Name. Maybe a lot of the songs aren't, but I don't know. This is directed by Luca Guadagnino. So I'm going to read the little description it has on Google. It's the summer of 1983, and precocious 17-year-old Elio Perlman is spending the days with his family at their 17th century villa in Lombardy, Italy. He soon meets Oliver, a handsome doctoral student who's working as an intern for Elio's father. Amid the sun-drenched splendor of their surroundings, Elio and Oliver discover the heady beauty of awakening desire over the course of a summer that will alter their lives forever. There's a speech toward the end of the movie Elio's father gives him, and it's basically word for word from the book, and it is a beautiful speech. It is so touching and so sincere. I do want tattoos, and I want something from the speech tattooed on me because it's that good. My next movie is a very different genre from all of the other ones that I've said before. It is the movie Hereditary, and it was made in 2018. It's horror/drama. I saw this movie in the movie theaters. This was the first horror movie I had ever seen, and it was amazing. It's also very psychological as well as scary. So it surrounds Steve, Annie, Charlie is the daughter, and Peter is the older brother. Annie's mother has just died. She was very secretive and kind of a weird lady when she was alive. So after her death, they learn tons of secrets about who she was. It's directed by Ari Aster. It's super creepy. If you've seen the movie, you know what that is. This is how I watch horror films. I plug my ears with my thumbs and have my hands like this. So in case I need to cover my eyes quickly, you can just go like that and I can plug my ears. And that's how I watch movies because they're scary. That's, I guess, all the description I can give without saying too much. The acting is so good. Peter, who's played by Alex Wolff, I think he was in the Naked Brothers Band. I don't know. I never listened to that, or I think it was a show and stuff too. I never watched it, but his acting is incredible. It is so good. When the matriarch of the Graham family passes away, her daughter and her grandchildren begin to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry, trying to outrun the sinister fate they have inherited. Oh, and it's called Hereditary because it's about what problems and what genes get passed down to you. So the next movie I have is basically the same genre as Hereditary. It is horror/psychological horror. It's The Shining, which is a classic movie. It was made in 1980. It's so good. It has Jack Nicholson in it, who's an incredible actor. This movie is so amazing. There's no jump scares in it. It's very psychologically horrifying, and it's about this guy named Jack. Him and his family are going to, I guess, kind of run a hotel over the winter, and they're going to live and stay in the hotel and get paid to do so. The movie starts, he's talking with the person who's telling him that he's gonna run the hotel, and there was a family before, and the husband killed his whole family, and the guy is telling Jack about this, and he's like, oh, that's not gonna happen. But they're trapped in the hotel because of all the snow. The weather is really bad over the winter. That's why no one goes there, and so they can't leave the hotel, so they're just together all of the time. And Jack is also a writer, so he's writing a book, and so they go to the hotel. Their son Danny has kind of like they call it a sixth sense. I think there's a movie based on that also, and that's what they call The Shining. He has premonitions. Danny Lloyd, really good actor. He's maybe, I don't know how old he is in the movie, but he's really good. Jack Nicholson is also really good. Shelley Duvall plays Jack Nicholson's wife, and she's also really good. Red Rum is from this movie. It's murder spelled backwards. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Jack is staring out the window and he kind of is like looking down like that, and you can see his eyes looking up a little bit. It is so creepy. Something I didn't know until I saw this movie. I'd heard the phrase before, it's all fun and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I'd heard that phrase a lot before, but I didn't know it was from this movie. And when I saw that it was in this movie, I was like, that's where this is from? My dog is off my lap now. She's laying on the floor so I can put my laptop back on my lap. Jack Torrance becomes winter caretaker at the isolated Overlook Hotel in Colorado, hoping to cure his writer's block. He settles in along with his wife Wendy and his son Danny, who is plagued by psychic premonitions. As Jack's writing goes nowhere and Danny's visions become more disturbing, Jack discovers the hotel's dark secrets and begins to unravel into a homicidal maniac hell-bent on terrorizing his family. This movie and the movie that I'm going to talk about after this one, I saw in my film appreciation class last semester. I'd heard of this one before, but I'd never seen this one before. It's GOODFELLAS, which is a mob movie. This one's going to be the hardest one for me to describe just because there's so much and I don't know anything about the mob. There are tons of famous people in it. Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Lorene Bracco, Paul Sorvino. It was directed by Martin Scorsese, and he wrote the screenplay with Nicholas Pileggi. Ray Liotta plays Henry Hill, who is seen in the beginning of the movie. It's a different actor. He's like teenager, and he's really, really interested in the mob, wants to be in the mob, wants to make money. When he grows up and becomes an adult, he makes tons of money. He gets married, he has kids, and it's about his life in the mob and how crazy his life becomes. So it says, a young man grows up in the mob and works very hard to advance himself through the ranks. He enjoys his life of money and luxury, but is oblivious to the horror that he causes. A drug addiction and a few mistakes ultimately unravel his climb to the top. Based on the book Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi. I made my sister watch it, even though she didn't want to. Lily's back. I love you. So she's gonna go back on my lap. She liked it, so that's any testament for you to want to watch it. There you go. Okay, so my next movie I also saw in my film appreciation class. This movie is called MEMENTO. I'd never heard of it before my class. It was made in 2000. It's a thriller / mystery, and it is directed by Christopher Nolan. I think he's directed maybe like a Batman movie or something. Yes, The Dark Knight, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk, The Dark Knight Rises. Okay, so, and it says 15 plus. I'm not going to read them all. He's a very famous director. I think this is one of his first films. His brother wrote a short story with this premise, and then he made it into a movie. Guy Pearce is in it. He is gorgeous, and he's a really good actor. I've never seen anything with him in it, but I want to now because I love this movie. He plays the main character named Leonard. Then Carrie-Anne Moss is in it. I think she was in The Matrix or something. I haven't seen that movie, but I think she was in there. Joe Pantoliano. Then Stephen Tobolowsky. I recognize him from somewhere, and I can't think of where he's from. For all my musical theater people, Harriet Sansom Harris was in the movie also, and she plays Mrs. Mears in Thoroughly Modern Musical with Sutton Foster and Gavin Creel. Side note, love Gavin Creel. I can make a whole video about him if anyone would want to see that. I've seen a ton of his shows. I've met him. Love him. Side note. But if anyone has seen or heard of Thoroughly Modern Millie, she's Mrs. Mears. She runs the hotel. She's in this movie also. So this movie is hard to describe because of it's known for its narrative structure. The movie takes place backwards, and I know that sounds weird, and you might want to watch it a couple times because it's so good, and the more you watch it, the easier it is to piece together and understand. I took notes on it during class because we had to write a essay about it for the class, so I took a lot of notes, so I didn't really have a hard time understanding it, but I made my sister and my best friend watch it, and they were so confused. It is told backwards, so the beginning of the movie is the end of the story, and the end of the movie is the beginning of the story. This is so hard to describe without showing you, but the first scene actually physically takes place backwards, like the film is backwards. He's developing a photo, and that's backwards, like that scene is backwards, and then that cuts, and you see that same scene forwards. The more you watch the movie, the easier it is to understand, and the more used to that you get. I love it. I think it's very interesting, but that's not the reason I love the movie. I love the movie because of the acting, and the premise is so interesting. So it's about this guy named Leonard. He has an accident. I'm not going to tell you what the accident is, but because of the accident, he lost his memory. He has no short-term memory. He can remember everything before the accident, but he can't remember more than like 15 minutes of a conversation now after this accident. So he can't remember what he was doing, why he was doing something, what he has done if it's not immediate. And that is so interesting because he's our narrator of the movie, and it makes him unreliable. And it's so cool because when he meets people, he doesn't know if he's met them before, you don't know if he's met them before, you don't know what relation he has with them, he doesn't remember what relation he has with them. It's a very unique story. He takes Polaroid pictures of people that he meets and places that he goes and writes little notes on them, like the name of the person or the name of the place he was at, and on the back of the Polaroid he writes like a tiny little note to remind himself, like, do not trust this person, or do trust this person, listen to this person, something. He takes those Polaroid pictures, he writes a lot of notes, and he has a ton of tattoos all over his chest and torso and on his legs and arms also, because those are the really, really important things. So the whole movie is him following this case that he has, trying to figure out, trying to get revenge for the incident that happened. The movie brings the theme of what is truth, and do you know who you are? Do you know what is true about yourself? And do you know what is true about other people? The colored parts are from backwards to forwards, and then in between the colored parts there are black and white parts, kind of like a film noir. Leonard is in his motel room and he's on the phone with someone. That is real time. Christopher Nolan has a video describing how he made this narrative, and so I will link that below. Guy Pearce is a fantastic actor. His portrayal of Leonard is so amazing and he's gorgeous. So it says, Leonard, Guy Pearce, is tracking down the man who raped and murdered his wife. Oh, then, okay, that's the incident that happened. Someone raped and murdered his wife in the middle of the night, so he's trying to track down the person and kill them. Okay. The difficulty, however, of locating his wife's killer is compounded by the fact that he suffers from a rare, untreatable form of memory loss. Although he can recall details of life before his accident, Leonard cannot remember what happened 15 minutes ago, where he's going, or why. This movie also has beautiful quotes. And at the end of the movie, which is the beginning of the story, the black and white and the colored parts merge together and the black and white turns to color. So my last movie, I actually have this one with me. I have a DVD. This one is a TV series, but they did make a movie about it, so that's why I'm putting it in this video. So I first watched this in 9th grade. It's called The Bible. If anyone knows the show called Survivor on, I think it's on CBS. Really good show. I love that show. Mark Burnett, who made Survivor, and his wife produced The Bible, and they were there for a lot of the filming and all this. Anyone who is religious in any sort of way will like The Bible. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school from nursery through 12th grade. So I watched this in 9th grade in high school. They have a little bit of Adam and Eve, a little bit of Noah's Ark. They have Moses, Daniel and the Lion's Den, David and Goliath. Obviously, they have the story of Jesus. So I'm going to read a little bit of the back of this. It says, breathtaking in scope and scale, the Bible features powerful performances, exotic locales, and dazzling visual effects that breathe spectacular life into the dramatic tales of faith and courage from Genesis through Revelation. This historic television event is sure to entertain and inspire the whole family. So there's a 4-disc set that it has, and this is a 10-part series. I believe each part is 2 hours. So this is the first disc, the second one, the third one,